Welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I am your host, Daya Naef. And today we have Nancy Brodzki in the studio. I'm so excited. She is also a woman of many talents, and we're going to talk a little bit today about mediation and collaboration and her psychology background as well. So, Nancy, I'm so excited to kick off this conversation. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for the opportunity. And I have, as you said, I come from a background of psychology, my undergraduate degree, and I use that a lot in my practice as a family law attorney, both with my clients and with opposing counsels and witnesses and even judges sometimes. And trying to use what I've learned mostly since I've graduated college, in studying with some of the more renowned experts in the field like Bill Eddy and Woody Moston, who have taught me how to use certain techniques with difficult people that allow me to either better manage my clients, better manage opposing attorneys who are difficult, and achieving better results in mediation or in collaborative divorce.
Yeah. Share a little bit more about collaborative divorce and mediation and how they betwixt and between.
It's interesting. A lot of people, they start with questions about the substance. They want to know how much alimony am I going to get and what's going to happen to the house. But what they really need to start with, the first question that everybody going through or contemplating going through a divorce needs to figure out is, what process am I going to follow in order to get to the end line? The finish line is a divorce, but it's really all about the journey. And what's that going to look like as you get to that final finish line? And I mean, I hope everybody knows by this time that fighting it out in court is the worst possible option for a host of reasons: expense, stress, and a lack of control over the outcome. You're really giving all of your power over to a judge who's got an extremely limited amount of time to analyze a limited amount of information in a very kind of choreographed, rigid way. And, nobody walks into court winning on everything. So it's a question of control. And in a negotiated settlement, which is what mediation and collaborative processes are, are geared towards helping you find, it is about how do you get there and how do we focus on the things that matter the most so that we can avoid leaving it up to the stranger and we can have control over what the trade-offs are and over what our compromises are. And you achieve that control in a mediated or collaborative setting, and you lose it completely in litigation. So I like to think of collaborative divorce as mediation on steroids. It is a negotiation process, a process of gathering information, analyzing the information, generating options for how the family might solve any one of the number of different problems that are on their list, and helping them reach consensus on all the issues, reducing it to an agreement, and then you have an uncontested divorce. Mediation is a little bit less, it's the same process of gathering information, analyzing it, and negotiating. But instead of two people with or without their lawyers using a single neutral mediator to kind of facilitate those discussions and broker the deal, in collaborative divorce, you have a team. And the team works together both off line when they're not in meetings all together with the clients, and all together in a full meeting of the team to help the clients through that same process, gathering information, analyzing it, generating the options, and helping them reach consensus. They have some things in common. Mediation has a mediator, and when everybody has the ability to use a full team in a collaborative divorce uses a facilitator. We call them facilitators in Florida. In some jurisdictions, they call them neutral mental health professionals. Some states use divorce coaches. That's not really super popular in Florida as part of the team. But divorce coaches are gaining a foothold as sort of adjuncts to lawyers in litigated divorces to help the clients deal with the emotional aspects. But and also using a neutral financial professional when the situation calls for it. So collaborative kind of offers a lot more resources to the family, but they're offers. You can also do a collaborative case with just two clients and two lawyers and no other professionals. And I've done several collaborative cases in that model. But if someone were to ask me, Nancy, what's your preference? What if you could design it in the way that you wanted it? I think that there's tremendous benefit in having that neutral facilitator in the room, kind of taking the temperature of the room and being able to intervene when it's appropriate, and someone in a full team meeting is maybe pushing the buttons of the other client. Divorcing couples have a tendency to do that, which is why a lot of lawyers prefer mediation, because they want all of the discussions to take place in separate rooms with one mediator kind of brokering the deal and the discussions between the two rooms, because lawyers, I think generally for pretty good reason, want to keep their clients from talking directly to each other, because things tend to go south. If they were so able to communicate like that, they might not be at this level of a process. Anyway, they might have written out their entire agreement on a pizza box. But instead, they needed professional help to get them to the finish line, which is generally a good indication that their communication is not their strong suit. So why do we really want to do that? But in collaborative, especially for people who have kids that are still being raised, minor children, you need to learn to improve your communication. There is value in the collaborative process, especially for people with kids who are going to be co-parenting those kids for a long time, to use a process that will allow them to test those waters and will be able to intervene in real time to help them better navigate some of those challenges, because they're going to disagree. Collaborative and mediation are not for people that already agree on everything. They are processes that will help people get to an agreement that don't mean leaving it up to someone else to decide. And that's my favorite explanation of what's the most important difference between those two processes, and how litigation is just really turning everything over to somebody else and saying, you do it. You figure it out. You tell me what to do, and either I'll sign something because you told me that's what I should do, or we're going to let the judge decide because you've told me that's what I need to do.
Yeah, makes sense. I used to do a lot of civil mediation, no family, but you always think the party always thinks they're going to win if they go to court. They're like, oh, but the judge is going to hear my side of the story and I'm going to win. And even attorneys, like, they miscalculate their percentage of winning by like 80%. And it's like, well, 80 and 80, like, because the other side is coming in with the same 80. And it's like, this math does not work.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it always took a lot of convincing for me to say, hey, you really need to put this in your own hands and work this out before going to litigation. But we're a litigious society, so sometimes
Yes. And the
doesn't get
courthouse, I tell them, is like going to a casino.
Hmm?
You think you're going to
You think
win.
you're going
People
to
gamble and
win.
they think they're going to win. But in court, it's really the roulette wheel, issue by issue. red or black. Maybe you win, maybe you don't. The law books are filled with judges' mistakes.
Yeah.
So, and not everybody can afford to
It's
appeal.
very hard to appeal a family court decision. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, I see all these beautiful faces behind you. Who are some of these people in the
Oh
photographs?
my goodness. Well, I have a big family, I'm happy to say. I've been married to my wife, Letty, for the last 18 years. Together, we raised 6 children, and our 6 children currently have produced 5 grandchildren. So there are pictures of all of their weddings and our weddings. And yes, we had more than one wedding. That's its own kind of story. We were married in 2007 in Canada before it was legal here in Florida. We were married here in Florida when it became legal in January of 2015. And then we had a religious ceremony about 3 weeks later with 400 people. Yeah, it was just an open invitation, and a lot of people came. I was actually, it all grew out of me being involved in the fight for marriage
Mhm.
equality in Florida and divorce equality in Florida in 2013 and 14. And that's when, in late 2014, when the judge in the case for my client granted the first official same sex divorce as a result of challenging the state's ban on recognizing um, uh, same sex marriages or unions and preventing clerks from issuing marriage licenses for same sex couples. So I get to be a small footnote in legal history. But it was all happening at the same time. But we had gotten married many years before in Canada, long before it was legal.
Interesting. And it's interesting how the divorce, like the right to divorce came or preceded the right to
It
marry.
did.
So it was more of a recognition. The state would have to recognize someone
Correct.
else's law, full faith and credit, in order to be able to dissolve it and
Exactly.
partition. Yeah, it's funny how it works
Yep.
that way.
It is. It really was. And that's now, it's hard to believe that was 10 years ago. And, now same sex divorce is just divorce.
Yeah,
Um, every once in a while, you'll get a wrinkly
yeah,
issue related to property acquired prior to the marriage, but during a long term relationship, and issues like that. But generally speaking, they're treated the same.
yeah.
Happy to
I
say.
know we have a wrinkle in Louisiana law, which is where I practice, and I don't practice family law, but there is definitely a wrinkle around the children of the same-sex marriage when this marriage ends in divorce. But that's a whole nother topic. So, how do people find you when they want a consultation, or they just want to congratulate you for being a trailblazer?
Well, I'm not looking for anybody's congratulations, but that's really kind of you. Our website is bjblawyers.com, and our phone number is 954-344-7737. I practice as a lawyer primarily in Broward, Palm Beach, and a little bit of Miami-Dade County. I mediate statewide, and I have mediated cases over Zoom for in all over Florida. And if people are doing a mediated or collaborative divorce that they are really committed to not litigating, I am always eager to sign up for that, regardless of what county in Florida they're in, because we're doing it all virtually.
Awesome. Yeah. And before we go, I left out asking you more about your coaching for family lawyers.
Well, about 4 years ago, we started Secret to Your Success, and I found a love of coaching other lawyers. And we have different offerings, and some of our members get individual coaching with me. I've helped them prepare for hearings, I help them drafting pleadings to give them ideas, or just case strategy, process, and procedure. We give them sort of continuing legal education credits and materials, and it's become one of my great passions is helping other lawyers who have come out of law school and haven't had a chance to really have that experience of working with a partner. They didn't get a job in a firm, but they just went out and hung out their shingle, or they're about to, and they're about to make that leap and they don't know the first thing about running a practice. That's where we can help, and we really tailor what we're doing to the individual lawyers. Some lawyers need more help on running it as a business. But they're board certified in marital and family law. They've just worked for large firms and not had to worry about the nuts and bolts of actually running the practice. On the other hand, we have lawyers who are, experienced business people, went to law school as later in life, but really need help in quickly immersing themselves in family law. And for those of us who practice it, it is a vast area of the law, and trying to learn it all at once is a lot like drinking water from a fire hose. So I become one of our members called me their own version of Chat GPT. They just, when they have a question about family law, they know better than to use Chat GPT, but they call me or they text me. Nancy will know. So I answer their questions and keep them, help them be more successful in what they're doing.
I love that. Maybe we'll collaborate sometime. No, well, good. Well, thank you for coming on the show. For those of
it's my pleasure.
Thank you. You're very welcome. This has been a great conversation. So this has been another episode of the Success Partner Podcast. I'm your host, Daya Naef. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned.